Hi, welcome to an update on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. This one's about Dan Houston. This one is about a bidding war that seems to be emerging. Now, last night on the Blue Abroad show, we spoke about what's on offer and how Carlton can get Dan Houston. Essentially, it's centered around Gold Coast and pick 13. And there's actually a number of clubs who are interested in this pick. And there are still a number of clubs interested in Dan Houston, to be fair. North Melbourne still have an interest in him. We've seen updates around that.
Speaking of ball use and decision-making off half-back, there's a pretty good player up for grabs in Dan Houston. Where do you feel like you're at in the race for him?
Yeah, we'd like to be in the race. We've met with Dan, so there's enough will there that he would look at us and entertain us. But yeah, it's going to come down to whoever can satisfy Port Adelaide the best, I guess, and we have got some good currency. So yeah, we'd like to be in it, and hopefully we can have some discussions this week.
And that future first-round pick is the chip for that one?
Yeah, definitely on the table. It's whether it's a three-way trade or regardless of whether it's for Dan or not, we have it on the table if it's to help this year's draft hand or to get a player of Dan's quality.
Carlton obviously have some sort of an interest. There's actually an inkling that Houston prefers to play for Carlton in 2024. Now, he hasn't yet nominated any club, and I think this is done intentionally. And I think if we look back at everything that's been said, particularly from the Houston camp, we can start to paint a bit of a picture. He doesn't want to nominate a club because there's not a guarantee that the deal can get done. Now, Port Adelaide have all the power here. They have the choice. They have a contracted player. So it makes sense that he hasn't nominated just yet and potentially put the pressure on. Now, Collingwood, if we're honest, probably are in the best position to get him as it stands right now.
What about Dan Houston? The chase is on between a number of clubs. You're one of them. How confident are you that you can get Dan to the footy club?
We are confident. We want to bring him into our footy club, but I guess we've got to get the deal done. There's lots to play out with him, and also Port Adelaide and Gold Coast may be involved in that, who knows? So there's a lot to play out.
The chase for pick 13 is a hot one, and you're obviously in that too, using potentially John Noble and a future first-round pick as well. Will we see any progress on that today or the next couple of days?
I'm not sure if it's today or the next couple of days, but we are talking, which is the positive thing, and hopefully we can get a result.
I mean, we say that, but then we just see an update today from Sam Edmund, and he's broken it down as to what's happening with pick 13 from the Gold Coast Suns. So essentially, Collingwood are reportedly offering John Noble a future first to the Suns in order to get pick 13 and 23. Carlton have offered a future first and a future second for the Gold Coast Suns pick 13. Now, both of those potential deals would be used to land Dan Houston to either club. So there's that. Now, interestingly enough, it is understood that the Suns are not keen to do the deal with Collingwood, that specific deal. So John Noble, future first for pick 13 and 23. Carlton's made it pretty clear, reportedly, not officially, that they are prepared to give up both of their future first and second round picks. Now, as we said, Port Adelaide, they hold the keys here. They have made it pretty clear what they value Dan Houston to be worth.
As we've said for the last few days, we're open to doing a deal, on Dan, but ultimately it has to be the right deal for the club.
Has he actually nominated one or the other, if it's Carlton, North Melbourne, Collingwood, about where he wants to go?
No, he hasn't, as far as I'm aware. I'm sure that Dan understands that in all of this, whichever club is interested in his services has to be able to also satisfy, Port Adelaide, and that's really the primary objective of this. Is I'm not too fussed where he wants to go. Ultimately we've got to be feeling like we're benefiting from it.
And the primary objective clearly is to get a good hand in this year's draft, which is a good pool, and you've been out of the draft for a couple of years at the top end. What is there on the table in terms of the picks yet? Do you know yet? Have clubs come to you with options and offers?
Well, I mean, clubs have started to come to us, but typically the first point is not where the end point lands. So, I would imagine that over the next 4 or 5 days, the clubs who have got a serious interest in Dan will start to get cracking, and we'll see how that works at that point.
Is it one early pick? Is it two? Is it spread across 2 years? Is it one in the early part and then a little bit later? What's it look like from you?
It could be all of those things.
All of those picks?
All of those picks, all of those things. No, look, I mean, I think, ultimately, as you well know, Cal, a pick in the top 2 or 3 is different than a pick at 12 or 13. So, I don't think it's prudent of me right now to put any pressure on anyone to look at that. We want a good deal, better than fair for a who we think number one is willing to come back to us if the deal doesn't get done, but also he's now a 2-time All-Australian who's a member of our leadership group, a good player in our club.
So that's where it stands right now. We are at a supposed bidding war. Carlton's offer, North Melbourne's offer, Collingwood's offer. The rhetoric seems to suggest that Houston would only want to go to Collingwood or Carlton. Now, it looks like if we had to rank in order the teams that he would want to play for, it seems that Carlton's number 1, Collingwood's number 2, because they would also be seemingly a contender, and North Melbourne would be 3. It looks like Collingwood might have the best, Collingwood and North Melbourne, to be fair, might have the best capital to get the deal done. So let's just see what happens. I'd be fascinated if he nominates Carlton in the coming days, because we know why he shouldn't be doing that. And we also know that he's very much a big chance to just stay at Port Adelaide when it's all said and done. So the race for pick 13 heats up. The race for Dan Houston heats up. Could be a lot of something. It could equally be a whole lot of nothing. We'll see where it plays out. What do you think about these latest updates and this latest offer? Do you think we should be upping the offer, or do you think that's it? Future first, future second, get pick 13 and move on. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Let's chat about it.